Right, so I'll call the meeting in order for December 3rd, 2019. What you see is what we're going to have this evening. I do expect it to be a pretty quick agenda based on what's been outlined. First action item is the meeting minutes from November 8th of 2019. Are there any comments from Mr. Lyons? Seeing none, I'll make a motion that we approve the minutes as presented.
I think, John, you have me leaving at 9 a.m., is it? I think that's correct, right?
Yeah, we were
Okay.
morning that day,
Okay.
yeah. So I'll make a motion that we approve the minutes as presented. Is there a second?
Second.
Any further discussion? All those in favor? Any opposed? And one abstention?
Abstention.
Brendan's abstaining. Next is chairman's update. I had two action items from the last meeting based on our discussion. The first was as it relates to the sidewalk discussion. I did forward correspondence to the Board of Selectmen outlining everything that had been discussed in the meeting, the motion that we took. I have not heard back from them. I did not see it on, they've had two agendas, I believe, since then, and it's definitely not on tonight's agenda. My guess is it's not going to be on the next one's at the budget one, but I will follow up with Mr. Shea, but I don't have any more update other than I did what the committee asked me to do, and
I haven't seen it on any agenda either. The only brief update I have is someone from the state office on disability showed up at the last ADA meeting and opined that where there isn't a sidewalk and the driveway serves as a sidewalk, the driveway has to be ADA compliant.
yeah,
That's all without comment.
okay. So I think that's on their agenda. I know ADA was at the last BOS meeting, trying to update what they're trying to do as well. So, and then the other item was I had indicated that I had received an email from a Loudspelma Road resident about the noise that's coming from what we believe to be the HVAC unit that runs 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. I asked him to be patient and wait until the leaves have pretty much fallen, so I met with him the day before Thanksgiving. He invited his neighbor as well, which I wasn't expecting, but that created another item. But I think where we landed on the noise issue is I parked in the golf parking lot. It was pre-snow. And I walked in through his backyard and kind of up the hill towards his, when you were at the valley, you didn't really hear much. As you went up the hill, naturally the sound was traveling up. You certainly can hear noise, whether it's a reasonable amount of noise. I'm certainly not going to opine one way or another. I think I'd obviously view differently if I lived in that house versus I didn't live in the house. So all that I mentioned to that resident was that I would bring back to the committee saying, saw it, listened. Any of you you're more than welcome to make arrangements if you want to go hear it for yourself. But what I did do is I did talk to Jeff Shaw just to say, what do people typically do in this situation? And the response back from the engineer is you could get a sound consultant out here to kind of hear it for him or herself and make some recommendations. They could be very costly recommendations. They could be, minor fixes or tweaks that could be made. Obviously, the unit's not going to turn off, right? That's just non-negotiable. So I think I have messaged the resident that we will look into it. I made no commitment that we're going to do anything about it, and that he should not expect an immediate sort of resolution, just because I don't think we're going to rush to something that may or may not actually solve the problem. So Jeff is looking into it further and seeing what a sound consultant may or may not recommend, and then I guess we'll keep reporting back, and if there's any action we need to take, we'll bring it forward and decide as a group. Second item was his next door neighbor came in and showed me some pictures of the light that was emitting from the rear apparatus space at night. Photos are always funny, right, in terms of reflections. You don't know where they took them, etc. There was definitely a decent amount of light, and he was saying these pictures were taken, post 10 p.m. So I spoke to Chief Achilles when he returned from vacation. and he is very amenable to looking at the settings that are on the lights, especially in the rear apparatus bay where there's no primary apparatus. Obviously, if someone sets foot on the apparatus base, that's going to trigger certain things, but there's nothing critical at that back part that has to be lit 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. So my understanding is John Parent now has controls of the lighting and knows what to do. So they're going to deal with it once they get past, obviously, snow and everything else and find a common time to meet up. And once that's done, we'll make notification to the resident to say, any better, worse, same, and kind of do trial by error, but I think that's obviously a much easier fix.
Is it the outdoor lights or the garage lights inside?
It appeared to be both, but predominantly the interior.
Mr. Chairman, I have an update.
Go ahead.
John Parent came in midday today. We were working on the programming. Just so you know, we have an occupancy setting that at night they go off. I think it was 9 o'clock or 10 o'clock. I'm not sure which one. After that, if you walk onto the apparatus bay, at any time, all the lights come on. What we worked on today is there's a setting 9 through 0. 9 being the highest, 0 being none, no lights on that. We went down to the setting of 1, basically the dimmest light we could have, that if you, during the day or anytime they're dim, and then during occupancy, or no occupancy, when they're activated, they are dim. If personnel need more light, they'll go to the light switch and turn them up. We're going to try that for the next 24 to 48 hours just to see the cycle and if it's working. Safety-wise, I just want to make sure at night the crews can navigate the apparatus floor without an issue, but it's pretty obvious we don't need it on 9, the brightest, most times at all. So we are working on that, and hopefully we'll have a resolution, but we're going to test it out, this new setting, for the next 48 hours.
I think the resident was also very clear before he even mentioned it to me that obviously if they have a call, he doesn't care what they have to do in terms of lights, do whatever they need to do. It was more when, you know, personnel are in the station and there's nothing going on in town, you know, is there something to do? So I guess, Chief, you'll let me know when I can notify the resident to say, how does it look now, sort of thing.
Percentage-wise, how much did it dim the light by dropping it
Oh
from
my
10 to 1?
If I put this one on low, it's lower than this low light. So it's just barely on, which I'm hoping that at night it's appropriate. Daytime, we have pretty good lighting in there anyway, except on, you know, snowy or cloudy days, but I'm hoping this is good, and we have to make some minor adjustments, but I figured we'd start with the dimmest light we could do and then either raise it from there instead of just kind of incrementally going backwards.
So are the lights off all at night when there's no action, no one's been
Correct.
there, so it's okay.
From 9 p.m. on.
Yeah, I had to check with John because it was either 9 or 10. I forgot what the occupancy setting was, and it was kind of hard to navigate. So I didn't say change that because that was hard enough to. Now it's through an app, and he actually called technical support just to kind of work through it. But I'm hoping that works, and I'm going to try to get up to speed on that application also. So if we have to make any fine tunes, we can do that.
Any other questions on that? I have no monthly project-related updates other than they continue to kind of punch out the remaining items in the building, and I think the chiefs are doing a good job of raising issues real time as they run into more minor items of just use of the building.
Have most of the big ticket items been fixed?
Yeah.
The stainless steel and
I don't know if
dust,
that's
all
all. Yeah, I mean, I would say you tell me if this is incorrect, but my view is a lot of the operational issues are getting fixed. It's more some of the aesthetics are not. I mean, there are still some items that would be nice to have, but I think they're waiting on either parts, etc. I know the windows going in tomorrow on the police side, and I know that the lights for the cells that were at issue finally shipped. So I think
It's reasonable.
at least it seems more police weighted, but
Yeah.
any other questions on that? Invoices for approval. So obviously we kind of talked about this last meeting. we're kind of summarizing it, we're kind of doing our own work now. John Lemieux, I still talk to him every once in a while just to make sure everything's kind of, we're chasing people for invoices. So I kind of summarized in kind of this spreadsheet of what was presented. I think the most important one on here that just make sure everyone's aware and doesn't gloss over is the construction administration invoice that's been presented by Context. This was the holdback that I had negotiated until we could get further along the process. If we approve these invoices as presented, we're done with paying Context for the overall project, and we really have no, I guess, financial holdbacks. Personally, I don't view that we're in a position to hold anything back. I think they've been very helpful in resolving kind of some of these punch list items. I think everyone, including them, right, there's no incentive for things to drag out on their end either, because they're just losing hours and time chasing as well. But I see no personal reason not to release it at this point, but obviously that's a decision for the six of us to make. So I guess, are there any questions on any of the invoices before I move on? All right, so I'm going to move that we accept the vendor invoices that were included in the packet as presented. Is there a second?
Second.
Any further discussion? All those in favor? Any opposed? All right, so that carries unanimously. In addition, after I had given everyone the packet, we got another invoice this morning from John Parent for the final, I'll call it rubbish, trash removal from the old site, which is a moving expense from BP Trucking. I would like to move that we accept that invoice as well. Second.
Second.
Any discussion on that one? All those in favor? Any opposed? The last action item under vendor invoices that Vertex asked us to take action on is we had back in July held back on payment of WB Mason of about $5,000. The main reason for that was it was the OPM's view that they had caused some damage to the building. We've now gotten confirmation from the general contractor that we're not going to get back charged, so to say, for that damage that they had to go around and patch walls, etc. So I believe WB Mason calls the townhouse every couple of days looking for that money. So I told John I'd bring it forward. I don't intend to vote, so I'm not going to make the motion. So I just wanted to bring it forward for color and context and let someone move it if they're inclined to release that money.
I'll make the motion that we accept the invoices as presented. Is there any discussion? All those in favor?
Need a second?
Need a second?
Second.
You second it, Jim?
Yeah.
All those in favor? Motion carries.
Same, just for the record. Next was CTA requisition 17, which was the main reason that I wanted to make sure we all got together. So I included the letter that CTA included, just for context. That's just kind of what's still going on in the background. Basically, CTA has done a good majority of the punch list, but they haven't done all of it. So Context was trying to negotiate on our behalf and hold back for things that had been done, which they can't do based on kind of the statutes that reference. So what we're doing now is releasing money for what both Vertex and Context believe has been done. And then there will be about a comparable amount that we'll approve at a future meeting once it's done, and we may have to take it in chunks depending on how quickly it gets done. But the motion on the table is to approve CTA's requisition number 17 in the amount of $22,966.69. There a second?
Second. 200.
Did I say 220?
You said 26.
222,966.69, just to be clear.
I second.
Seconded by Pete. Any discussion on that? You can also see in the back they have kind of listed what's out there. So very transparent of what's out there at this point. All those in favor? Any opposed? That carries unanimously. So that will finish the invoices. In terms of project budget, John completed a complete refresh of his budget, tied it back to the town's accounting records. What I have done, and I'm waiting on some details from Heidi, and is I've then tried to project every invoice that we haven't seen. So I basically went line by line on the budget saying, either we signed a contract but we haven't seen an invoice, like, and just try to figure out, like, for example, a good example is the IT budget. We authorized a certain amount for Tom Lefane to go do what he needed to do. He didn't use all of it, right? So what now I have to do is go back to Tom and say, you're good, right? And A, given us all your invoices, and B, there's not something you're waiting to buy sort of thing. And then we'll be able to close some of it out. Once you do all of that, we're still in the project savings range, somewhere between 3.2 and 3.3. We told the selectmen 3, so we're still, in my view, working well ahead of where we said we were going to end up. That obviously gives room for unforeseen things that we don't know about today before the project gets closed out. But I think based on what the chiefs presented at the last meeting, those are kind of their last big ticket items with the security system and the fencing. And you will see they did get the poles in the ground before it froze. No fence, but that snow will be gone in a couple of weeks unless we get another storm. So we'll see what happens with that. But so that's where project budget. I will share it. I will keep this item on the agenda if anyone wants to go line by line through it. But we have about somewhere between 300 and 400,000 left in expenses to pay, over 200,000 of which relates is CTA. The remainder is basically the work that we commissioned at the last meeting. And that factors in assuming we would approve the invoices that were presented tonight. So that's where we're at. So I don't know if there's any questions on budget. Meeting schedule, I think we're going to kind of have to do what we did this time. Is I got to wait until I get a requisition from CTA or some other material invoice that needs to be paid and requires the consent of the committee. But I don't necessarily see us needing to meet before the Christmas holiday unless something unforeseen comes up. Any other
Just give me
business?
some advance warning if we're going to have a meeting, so I can post a meeting within the meeting.
Yes. Is that for your subcommittee?
Yeah, to approve the minutes.
Or you could,
We can do a separate meeting.
You could, but
whatever you guys,
I'm wrong. The majority is going to be here for the meeting you're talking about. If I just get enough notice, I can post it,
okay.
like the other two, even though they can't vote.
Are you done with that subcommittee?
Well, we still have to approve meeting minutes.
The parent committee can do that. If the committee's going out of business, then approving the last set of minutes floats up to the appointing authority.
I think we're going to have major issues with conflicts based on what that committee did. So I think you're better.
Yeah, I agree.
Well, then you have to approve the minutes of that meeting, so
Yes,
Just
I know, yeah.
bring a set. My suggestion would be based on actually what we did with Chief Achilles' process is assuming that he actually signed a contract. We had meeting minutes saying we approved the meeting minutes. The vote was this, and that was just filled in on the spot, and then we approved it at the end of the meeting. That's probably the easiest way to solve it. That way you don't get in a vicious cycle.
I don't know. I want to make sure, because there's kind of time constraints.
Yes.
I just want to get it done.
Draft, we said,
Okay.
so Jim told them.
Yeah, there's just a couple of things that want to change, but they look real good.
Okay. Is there any other business the committee would like to raise?
Question. Is this committee going to be disbanded once we're done, and when will we be done?
So I don't view us being disbanded before the annual town meeting.
Okay.
The main reason being is I think we're going to have to agree on a number that would eventually be basically the bond rescission.
Mhm.
My guess is the selectmen are going to have a warrant article to rescind a portion of the bond that was authorized.
Mhm.
They're going to look to us to say how much to hold back and how much to rescind. And I would think as part of that, we would make a presentation of kind of what has been done so that people that haven't followed will understand that. And then I think at least what they voiced in the public meeting last time, they're just going to let just run through the end of June. Doesn't mean we have to call a meeting,
Just expires.
Just, we won't, like, we won't get a reappointment slip like we've gotten the last 3 years, is I think my expectation of how this is gonna go. So, I don't see a very frequent meeting schedule though. I think you'll be far busier with your other committee.
Thank you.
Public comment? All right, I'll make a motion to adjourn. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Mr. Goodney. All those in favor? Good meeting, thank you.